Now, big chorus to change names of historical sites and key roads in Delhi only grows louder after right-wing Hindu group staged a protest near Qutub Minar demanding its renaming as Vishnu Stamb, saying that the original structure by Hindu kings was razed. Protesters chanted Hanuman Chalisa, Hindu religious text at the protest site. Several of the protesters were detained by the Delhi police. The BJP, meanwhile, pushed for changing of roads named after Mughal rulers and pushing for their renaming after Hindu and Sikh icons like Maharana Pratap and Guru Gobind Singh. BJP Delhi chief Adesh Gupta, who led the protest, wrote a letter to the NDMC seeking changing of names of roads like Akbar Road, Humayun Road, Aurangzeb Lane and Tughlaq Lane.
One more monument and one more demand to rename it. Qutub Minar should now be renamed as Vishnu Stamb. This is what Hindu right-wing organizations are now demanding. We'll ask them what is it that they want from the government and why do they want the renaming of the iconic Qutub Minar. आपकी जो मांग है वो है कि विष्णु स्तंभ घोषित किया जाए पुनः, क्योंकि अगर पुनः घोषित नहीं करेंगे तो हम लोग इसी तरह आगे आके आंदोलन करते रहेंगे, हनुमान चालीसा की बात चलती रहेगी। आप क्या प्रधानमंत्री को भी चिट्ठी लिखेंगे? बिल्कुल, प्रधानमंत्री के पास भी विज्ञप्ति लेके जा रहे हैं हम और उनको आज सौंपेंगे। So this is what these people are saying. They want Qutub Minar to be renamed as Vishnu Stamb. The protest that you see behind me, the saffron flags that you are seeing being raised very close to the Qutub Minar, just 500 meters from the iconic monument. Chants are being raised to rename Qutub Minar as Vishnu Stamb. Banners have been put up.
यूनाइटेड हिंदू फ्रंट दिल्ली का अध्यक्ष, हमारी ये मांग है जो अंदर विष्णु स्तंभ है उसको विष्णु स्तंभ घोषित किया जाए। उसके अंदर जो निजी मूर्तियां दबी हुई हैं उन मूर्तियों को निकाला जाए। जो अंदर खंडित मूर्तियां हैं उन मूर्तियों को भी विधिवत तरीके से हिंदू मूर्तियों को स्थापित किया जाए। जो बाहर बोर्ड लगा हुआ है साई जैन मंदिरों को तोड़कर कुतुब मीनार को बनाया, ये कुतुब मीनार नहीं है। इतिहास में बच्चों को गलत पढ़ाया जा रहा है। ये विक्रमादित्य ने इसका निर्माण किया था, विष्णु स्तंभ के नाम से इसकी घोषणा की जाए। और दूसरी बात,
what it should be called as is Vishnu Stamb. In fact, what these the protesters at the moment are claiming is that there are many idols, many Hindu idols inside Qutub Minar. Everything should be brought out and the name should be changed to Vishnu Stamb. With camera person Kripal Singh, this is Shwara Paliwal reporting for India Today.
देखिए, ये इशू बहुत लंबे समय से चल रहा है और जनमानस में ये बात आ गई है। मैं भी मानता हूं कि जिस तुगलक ने, जिस औरंगजेब ने, इन लोगों ने जो जुर्म किए हैं, जो अत्याचार किए हैं और एक धर्म विशेष के लोगों को टारगेट करते हुए किए हैं, ऐसे लोगों के नाम पे अगर किसी ने साजिश के तहत सड़क बना दी है तो उसका पुनर्विचार तो होना ही चाहिए।
आज हमने जो पत्र लिखा है उसमें हमने मांग की कि औरंगजेब रोड, जिसका नाम पहले से ही डॉक्टर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम रोड रख दिया गया है, औरंगजेब लेन जो बची हुई है उसका नाम डॉक्टर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम लेन होना चाहिए। जो अकबर रोड है वो महाराणा प्रताप जी के नाम होना चाहिए, क्योंकि अकबर हमारे देश के लिए कभी आइडियल नहीं हो सकते। बिपिन रावत, उनके नाम पर भी एक सड़क का नाम इस लुटियन जोन के अंदर रखा जाए, ताकि आने वाली पीढ़ियां और ये जनरेशन भारत को भारत के वीरों से जाने, ना कि विदेशी आक्रांताओं से जाने।
यहाँ पर जितने भी देवी देवताओं की मूर्तियां मिली तो कहीं ना कहीं उस सनातन की जो वो थी वो सबको तोड़ मोड़ के कहीं ना कहीं मैनिपुलेट करा गया है। तो अब ये बीड़ा उठाया है सभी संत समाज ने, विद्युत समाज ने, कि हम अपनी मांग को मंगवा कर रहेंगे, चाहे कोर्ट में विचाराधीन केस हो। हम किसी भी व्यक्ति विशेष को हानि नहीं पहुंचाना चाहते, उनकी आस्थाओं के साथ खेलना नहीं चाहते या हम किसी को कोई दुख हो, मगर हम ये चाहते हैं कि जो मेरा प्यारा देश, जो मेरा सनातन की परंपराएं थी वो दोबारा से लौटे, वो खुशहाली दोबारा से लौटे। तो इसी को लेकर हमने ये बीड़ा उठाया है।
मुगलों के वक्त में असासे बने हुए हैं, मस्जिदें बनी हुई हैं, किले बने हुए हैं, ताजमहल बना हुआ है, उनको बिगाड़ना चाहते हैं, उनके पीछे पड़े हुए हैं। इससे कुछ हासिल नहीं होगा। ये हिंदू मुस्लिम को लड़ाना चाहते हैं, आपस में झगड़ा कराना चाहते हैं। अगर इनमें दम है तो ताजमहल जैसे जो इस किस्म के हमारे पुराने लाल किले जैसे, तो उनको मंदिर बना के दिखा देते तो देखते हैं कितने लोग इस मुल्क के अंदर आएंगे इस मुल्क को देखने के लिए.
We call it iconography of a nation. The iconography of a nation cannot be symbolized with the foreigners and invaders. Here in case of Akbar Road, Aurangzeb Road, this is where if you look at the Indian historiography, people always talk about Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Look at the kind of historiography he has escaped in his last speech in the Constituent Assembly. So these are in the categories of invaders.
Now, the controversial film Kashmir Files, directed by Vivek Agnihotri, is once again in the eye of the storm. Mocking the BJP over heaping praises for the film, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor quoted a news article that stated that the movie was banned in Singapore. A big showdown escalated when the director of the film, Vivek Agnihotri, hit back at the Congress MP, asking him to stop making fun of Kashmiri Pandits. He further said that Tharoor's late wife, Sunanda Pushkar, was a Kashmiri Pandit herself and that he must be more sensitive towards her. Lead actor of that film, Anupam Kher, has also hit out at Tharoor over tweets claiming that Tharoor's callousness towards Kashmiri Hindu genocide was indeed tragic. The film, which released on March 11th, sparked a massive debate among political parties. Makers of the film have been accused of playing fast and loose with facts and portraying a villainized image of Indian Muslims.
This is the tweet which is made after the direction of Congress High Command. Because Congress party has hand in gloves with anti-national forces. This Congress leader Shashi Tharoor came in shelter of anti-nationals. This is very unfortunate that Congress party is dancing on the tone of anti-national forces.
Who presents himself as a champion of free speech, freedom of expression, liberal values. But here they are celebrating, quite hypocritically, a ban on a film that has the courage to expose the truth that took place 32 long years ago. There is also competition in this entire ecosystem, be it the Congress party or the Aam Aadmi party, as to who can mock the plight of Kashmiri Hindus more. On one hand, Aam Aadmi party gets up in assembly and mocks them and laughs at their pain. On the other hand, the Congress party is in a celebratory mode when the film is banned in Singapore. The same film has been released in many destinations, many places without any cuts, and it has done spectacularly well in India as well.
जो पार्टी वैसे तो अभिव्यक्ति की आज़ादी की बात करती है, फ्रीडम ऑफ प्रेस की बात करती है, फ्रीडम ऑफ आइडियाज़ की बात करती है, वो एक फिल्म अगर बैन होती है उसका स्वागत करते हैं किस्म का। तो स्पष्ट है कि उनको इस बात की दिक्कत है कि जो सच विवेक अग्निहोत्री ने अपने पिक्चर में दिखाया, कश्मीरी पंडितों की जो प्लाइट दिखाई, जो उनकी वेदना दिखाई, उससे इनको दिक्कत हो रही है। इनको सिंगापुर की सरकार को क्रिटिसाइज करना चाहिए था अभिव्यक्ति की आज़ादी पर, ये उनका समर्थन कर रहे हैं। तो ये कांग्रेस की नीति है और विवेक अग्निहोत्री अगर उस पर प्रश्न उठा तो ठीक उठा रहे हैं।
It's okay for Mr. Shashi Tharoor to have a point of view on the film Kashmir Files. But there is a larger question that as a member of parliament and a senior leader of the Congress party that he must answer to. After all, the Congress was in government for almost 6 odd years in the 1990s and then 10 years. Did the persecution of Kashmiri Pandits happen or not? If they happened, what was the glorious action of the Congress party through all those years that it was in government? They may have a problem with a portrayal. But on the other hand, don't they feel the pain of the Kashmiri Hindus and Pandits who were persecuted, murdered, raped and thrown out of the valley?
All right, here's some big news coming in on that. Congress's Shashi Tharoor now responds to all that controversy amid this face-off over the film Kashmir Files. Tharoor has said that he tweeted on the film without any comments or content of the film at all, adding that he never mocked the sentiments of Kashmir Pandits. Tharoor has hit out saying that dragging his wife, late Sunanda Pushkar, into this matter was unwarranted. Remember, Shashi Tharoor had put out a tweet saying that Singapore has banned Kashmir Files, which the Indian government has endorsed. Now that, of course, did not go too well with the makers of the film Kashmir Files, with Vivek Agnihotri now hitting out at Shashi Tharoor, asking him to be more considerate since his late wife Sunanda Pushkar was herself a Kashmiri Pandit, and asked Tharoor to apologize for his tweet. Now, to that, Shashi Tharoor has reacted once again amid this face-off. Tharoor has said that he never commented on Kashmiri Pandits at all. He said that he spoke about, or he rather tweeted about the film without any comments or on the content of the film, adding that he did not mock the sentiments of Kashmir Pandits whatsoever. Tharoor saying that dragging his late wife, Sunanda Pushkar, into this entire matter was really unwarranted. Now, big day for probe into Kashmir Pandit genocide in 1990s. The trial into murder of one of the first Kashmiri Pandits to be slaughtered by the Islamist terrorists begins today in Srinagar. Satish Tiko was allegedly killed by butcher of Kashmir Valley, Bitta Karate, Farooq Ahmad Dar. Bitta Karate had confessed to mass murder of Kashmiri Hindus on India Today program News Track. The video from India Today's News Track will be placed now as evidence before the Srinagar court in this case. The victim's family filed a new application through advocate Utsav Bains and supported by activist Vikas Raina to place on record Bitta Karate's shocking video confession and that the first Kashmiri Pandit that he murdered was Satish Tiko.
आपने कितने लोगों की जानें ली? यानी आपने इतने सारे लोग मार डाले कि आपको ये भी नहीं याद कि आपने कितने लोग मार डाले?
10-12 हमारे होंगे।
10-12 की 20?
अब 20 ही मारे।
सारे के सारे कश्मीरी पंडित थे कि कोई मुसलमान भी थे उसमें? कितने मुस्लिम कितने कश्मीरी पंडित थे? ज्यादा कश्मीरी पंडित थे?
जी।
क्यों? ऐसा क्यों?
ऊपर से ऑर्डर मिलता था।
अच्छा, पहला जिस आदमी को पहले आपने जान से मारा वो कौन था?
पहला मर्डर मैंने सतीश को मारा। सतीश कौन? सतीश कुमार टिक्कू। कौन था ये? जो ऊपर से मतलब ऑर्डर दिया गया कि उसको हिट करो, मैंने किया।
कौन था ये?
पंडित लड़का।
हमेशा पिस्टल से ही मारते थे या AK-47 से भी मारते थे?
AK-47 से हम सिक्योरिटी वालों पर एक्शन फायरिंग करते थे।
अच्छा, और जब किसी एक आदमी को मारना होता था तो पिस्टल से? तो अकेले जाते थे कि 2-3 आदमी साथ होते थे?
मैक्सिमम मैं अकेला जाता था।
तो नकाब पहनी होती थी आपने?
नकाब के बगैर।
यानी लोग आपको देखते थे कि आप हैं जो जान से मार रहे हैं किसी को?
जी। लोग
पहचानते थे आपको? तो लोगों ने आपको पुलिस के हवाले नहीं किया?
नहीं।
इसका मतलब लोग
साथ देते थे।
अच्छा, कभी ऐसा हुआ कि आपने जिस आदमी को मारना चाहा, आपने कोशिश की लेकिन आप फेल कर गए?
नहीं।
जब भी आपने कोशिश की सफल हुए?
जी, सफल हुए। मैं जिधर निशाना चाहता था लगा उधर बराबर पहुंच गया।
जब भी आप किसी का मर्डर करते थे तो क्या हमेशा इशफाक मजीद वानी का ऑर्डर होता था तब करते थे या अपनी मर्जी से भी कर सकते थे?
नहीं, अपनी मर्जी से मैं किसी को नहीं मारता था। ऊपर से ऑर्डर मिलता था, लीडर ऑर्डर देते थे।
अच्छा, ऑर्डर दे किसी को मार दो, आप मार देते थे?
हाँ जी।
चाहे वो कोई भी हो?
कोई भी हो।
अगर वो कहता कि अपने सगे भाई को जान से मार डालो?
जी, मैं मार देता।
अगर वो कहता अपनी माँ को जान से मार डालो?
मैं मार देता।
तो ये तो गुलामी से भी बदतर हालत हो गई आपकी।
नहीं, गुलामी कहाँ? मैंने कहा ना, पहले हम जब ज्वाइन करता है कोई लड़का, ज्वाइन होने से पहले वो हाल पटवाते हैं, ये काम है। अगर नहीं है तो आप जा सकते।
Now, Punjab is on high alert after a rocket-propelled grenade hit Police Intelligence Wing headquarters in Mohali just last evening. A day after the attack, banned Khalisani outfits leader Pannu has issued a threat message to Himachal Chief Minister, warning that he must take a lesson from Mohali attack. Pannu further has added that this attack could have easily taken place in Shimla Police headquarters as well. Pannu's warning comes after Khalisani flag was seen hanging at Himachal Assembly Gate on Sunday. Not just banned Sikh outfits Pannu, but there's proof also of ISI's hand in Punjab terror surge here. Sources tell India Today that ISI has its Burn Punjab strategy ready. ISI has come up with Lashkar-e-Khalsa terror outfit to create more tensions in Punjab. NIA team has visited the spot to take stock and gather evidence. Investigation is on in Mohali grenade attack to see if this was indeed a terror attack, which now increasingly seems like one.
कल जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है यहाँ पर इंटेलिजेंस हेडक्वार्टर में, उसको लेके आज हमने एक मीटिंग की है। इंटेलिजेंस के ऑफिसर हैं और जिला पुलिस के एसएसपी साहब और डीआईजी साहब। इस केस को फेस करने के लिए हम लोग पूरे एफर्ट्स कर रहे हैं। हमारे पास लीड हैं और जल्दी ही हम इस केस को सॉल्व कर लेंगे।
कल रात जो मोहाली ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਘਟਨਾ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, मैं डीजीपी साहब ਨਾਲ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੰਟੈਲੀਜੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਅਫਸਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਲਈ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਸਾਰਾ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਨਿਕਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਗ੍ਰਿਫਤਾਰੀਆਂ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਵੀ ਗਈਆਂ, ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਜੜਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਜਾਣਗੇ। ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇਹੀ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਵੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਖਰਾਬ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਹ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਊਗਾ, ਸਖਤ ਤੋਂ ਸਖਤ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਮਿਲੂਗੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਕਈ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀਆਂ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਣਗੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੱਸਦਾ ਵਸਦਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਤੋੜਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਤੇ सख्त तो सख्त सजा मिलूगी।
कि जब कल धमाका हुआ था आपने भी सुना?
बिल्कुल सुनिया जी। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਸਮਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਬਿਜਲੀ ਟਿੱਕੀ ਹੈ। ਕੋਈ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 7:30 ਤੋਂ ਪੌਣੇ 8 ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ।
ये पुलिस आई आपके पास भी आई थी सीसीटीवी फुटेज को खंगालने के लिए?
हाँ बिल्कुल आई थी। तो पुलिस ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਵੇਰ ਦੀ ਲੱਗੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਤਲਾਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਕਾਰਵਾਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗਈ ਹੈ।
On my left side is the white structure. This is the headquarters of the Punjab Intelligence Bureau, and if we move the camera towards a bus which can be seen parked in front of this building, and extreme left is the place from where the rocket-propelled grenade RPG was fired. The distance is nearly 100 meters from this building. So the Punjab's highly sensitive and highly protected building is also on the target of the anti-social elements, though they have yet to be identified. Police has registered FIR against unidentified persons who are involved in this incident. The investigations will reveal the faces behind this incident and the motive, whether the Khalistani outfits are behind this incident or it has been caused by the gangsters and other anti-social elements. What is the motive? It will be clear after the investigations are over. With camera person Aman Gupta, this is Manjeet Sehgal in Mohali for India Today.
Now, politics has erupted over attack on Punjab Police Intel Office in Mohali. While condemning the attack, opposition leaders took to the Maan government for intelligence failure. Punjab Congress drew parallels to militancy and slammed Maan government, saying that the history is repeating itself. Congress leader Manish Tiwari has said that it's unfortunate to see all of this starting once again. Former Punjab Home Minister, Congress MLA Sukhjinder Singh Randhawa has dubbed this explosion as a sign of deep communalism. Shiromani Akali Dal Chief Sukhbir Singh Badal has said that the attack exposed some serious security lapses, highlighting once again the deteriorating law and order situation in Punjab. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann has, however, said that strict action will now be taken against those attackers. They will not be spared.
जैसे आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार आई, जो घटनाएं हम जम्मू कश्मीर के पूंछ में और राजौरी में सुनते थे कभी, जो अब बंद हो गई हैं ऑलमोस्ट, वो पंजाब में मोर्टार दागे जा रहे हैं। और जिस बिल्डिंग पे दागे जा रहे हैं वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बिल्डिंग है। वहां से बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट और लोगों को मतलब एक जो ऐसी गोपनीय चीजें होती हैं उस जगह पे मोर्टार दागे गए हैं। ये तो इसकी चिंता अगर आज नहीं करेगा, देश नहीं करेगा, पंजाब नहीं करेगा, दिल्ली नहीं करेगी, तो इन लोगों का जो चेहरा दिख रहा है अरविंद केजरीवाल जी का, वो तो बहुत ही कुरूप और भयानक चेहरा दिखा रहे हैं, जो देश के लिए सुरक्षा से जुड़ी चीजों के लिए बड़ा खतरा है।
पंजाब में मोहाली ब्लास्ट नफरत फैलाने की और डर फैलाने की एक कोशिश है। आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार, भगवंत मान जी की सरकार पंजाब का अमन चैन कायम करने के लिए पूरी तरीके से प्रतिबद्ध है, और जो भी पंजाब का अमन चैन और शांति बिगाड़ने की कोशिश करेगा, शांति भंग करने की कोशिश करेगा, उसकी जगह जेल के सीचों के पीछे है।
बीजेपी के नेताओं को भी ये कहना चाहूंगा कि आप पंजाब के अंदर माहौल को खराब करने की कोशिश ना करें। आपके माहौल खराब करने से पंजाब के अंदर लोगों का अमन शांति जो है उस पर असर पड़ता है। छोटी राजनीति के चक्कर में इस तरीके की माहौल खराब करने वाली चीज़ें नहीं करनी चाहिए। जिस भी संगठन ने मोहाली वाले हमले के अंदर अपनी भूमिका दी है उनके ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी, जिस तरह से पटियाला के अंदर सख्त कार्रवाई की गई।
It is not appropriate to finger point because the security of Punjab actually involves the security of the nation. Punjab has been at the receiving end of the depredations of Pakistan's policy of leading India with 1,000 cuts since 1975. We paid a very heavy price in blood between 1980 and 1995. Unfortunately, Pakistan just does not let up. So therefore, what we are seeing is probably a new phase in that proxy war, because an RPG attack on the headquarters of the Punjab Police's intelligence is a kind of an open signal by the separatists and the terrorists that they would want to disturb the peace and the communal harmony of Punjab. Therefore, under those circumstances, this is a time to rise above parties and politics. Both the central government and the state government must coordinate. They must bring all elements of national power to bear.
मैं चिंतित हूं, ये चिंता का विषय है, इसको दरकिनार नहीं किया जा सकता और मैं तो ये चाहूंगा कि पंजाब और केंद्र सरकार का इस मसले पर समन्वय हो, ताकि अगर आतंकवादी गतिविधियां बढ़ने का आसार उनका दिख रहा है तो केंद्र सरकार और राज्य सरकार मिलकर उस पर नियंत्रण पाए।
तो ब्लास्ट ये छोटा बड़ा नहीं है, तो पूरा इसके ऊपर नियंत्रण करना चाहिए और कोई भी आतंकवादी हो उनके ऊपर पूरा शिकंजा कसना चाहिए।
जब से आम आदमी पार्टी की पंजाब में सरकार रही है, कत्ल के केसेस में वृद्धि, पटियाला में दंगे, तरन तारण में RDX का मिलना और अब पुलिस के ही दफ्तर पे हमला हो जाना, ये बात दर्शाता है कि आम आदमी पार्टी केजरीवाल की जो पंजाब में सरकार है, पंजाब की सुरक्षा, अमन चैन के लिए हानिकारक है। अब माननीय भगवंत मान जी को जाग जाना चाहिए, उन्हें याद रखना चाहिए वो पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, केवल केजरीवाल के प्रचार मंत्री नहीं हैं।
Now, Karnataka has become the latest state to jump into the loudspeaker issue. In fact, right after meeting the Home Department officials, Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai has announced that all loudspeakers in the state will have to obtain permissions in the next 15 days' time. Any illegal ones must be pulled down. The government has said that they will follow Supreme Court guidelines strictly on loudspeakers. The panel would be formed by the government to decide on application of loudspeakers. Karnataka Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai has said that everyone must follow the Supreme Court guidelines. This comes after BJP-led Uttar Pradesh government's crackdown on loudspeakers operating without permission or above the permissible decibel levels. BJP has also been part of the standoff over the issue in Maharashtra. The issue has led to a war of words between BJP and the Congress now.
This entire communal cauldron is being kept, burning and boiling for the reason that this could be made use of during the election year in 2023. And since elections are going to take place next year, you can be sure that one more issue is now going to crop up, and that is also going to be a communal one. So after the end of the Azan issue, there is going to be some other thing which is going to try to keep the communal divide active, and this is in the run-up to elections in 2023.
The permission for the loudspeakers has to be reviewed in next 15 days. This is the guts of what the government of Karnataka has showed today. And we are sure that law and order will not be disturbed and law and order will not be given into the hands of miscreants who are trying to disturb Karnataka's harmony.
Now, the Sri Lankan crisis has deepened on Monday, pushing the country on the brink of a civil war. Homes of several sitting and former ministers, members of parliament and mayors have been set on fire by protesters. The house of Sri Lanka's former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa who put in his papers just yesterday, was also set on fire. Rajapaksa has left his official residence Temple Trees early this morning after military cleared off the protesters. Government has now imposed a nationwide curfew until Wednesday. Despite the curfew being in effect though, anti-government protesters lined up on the streets leading to the international airport in an attempt to block any ministers leaving the country. 7 people are dead, over 222 are presently seeking treatment with injuries from yesterday's clashes. One ruling party MP was killed during the protest. Now the pressure is on President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to resign right after his brother gave out his resignation as the Prime Minister. Sri Lanka has been propelled into a crisis over decades of economic mismanagement, which only has worsened under the control of Rajapaksas. Now Sri Lanka has over $4 billion of foreign debt, with its foreign reserves completely depleted.
Sri Lanka protesters are still out on the road. They are in full force and they are demanding that the president step down as well as this government to go home. So things haven't eased up at all. If not, it's just more tense. We have more angry protesters on the road. Security has been heightened as well throughout Colombo. And I'm told that there are so many protesters who are lined up close to, the airport, who are preventing people from checking vehicles to see if there are ruling members of this government who are trying to flee the country. So things are very much unstable and very tense right now.
Now, former Sri Lankan Cabinet Minister and cricket captain Arjun Ranatunga exclusively spoke to India Today's Ashutosh Mishra pertaining to this ongoing crisis. Arjun has claimed that the issue started and was staged by Rajapaksa government. Here's a listen.
What is the situation that you are seeing in Colombo, in the island country?
I think it was a highly unwanted situation created by the Prime Minister who resigned yesterday. These protesters, these peaceful protesters have been protesting for almost 1 month without any violence. I think we all like the way they handle things, and unfortunately last morning President has invited some of his party supporters, MPs, ministers, and there were a fairly big crowd came to the Temple Trees, that is the Prime Minister's office and the home, and they started talking about it, and unfortunately it came to a stage where they were provoked by some of the ministers, even the Prime Minister, and that is where the incident started. These people who were supposed to be after alcohol went towards almost like a kilometer, maybe 1.5 kilometers from the Temple Trees to the protest area, that is at the golf face, and they started attacking the innocent people, innocent protesters, and they started attacking the ladies, the priests, the people who were innocently protesting. They started attacking. That is where the entire country walked into the roads and started this particular issue. Ultimately, the president, after that, he left, but he left, put fire into the entire country. I think he and the ministers who provoked these people should take the blame on this issue.
Mr. Ranatunga, I would recall that in the last month when I visited Colombo, in the interview you had anticipated there could be some foul play, some mischief by the state actors or the non-state actors where they could disrupt the peaceful protest. Now, do you see it was a design, it was done at the behest of the government, or you see it was the spontaneous reaction, the clashes between supporters and the protesters?
No, it was properly planned. I think the president has requested the Prime Minister to step down last afternoon. Before that, he got his supporters, who are the provincial council, town council, MPs, who were government loyalty politicians. And they were the ones who came into this particular meeting. And from there, they created them to go into the protest area. Even some of the ministers walked into the protest area. That is why it didn't go right. I think this is where this entire issue started. When the president wanted the Prime Minister to step down, Prime Minister brought his most of the supporters and asked them whether he should resign. Then everyone said not to resign. So it was all planned things organized by some of the ministers who has ruined this country, and started provoking them to go into the unwanted area. And I'll tell you something else. I blame the police and the forces for that as well. They could have easily stopped them coming into the protest area. Yes, we have seen a lot of protests happening near the parliament. They started attacking water guns, and even tear gas was attacked. But this particular thing, they allowed them to walk towards them. I think it was a highly planned thing, and I blame the police, I blame the forces. They should have easily stopped this thing. This entire thing was planned by most probably the government, but supported by the police and the forces as well.
All right, that's it on this edition of the Bulletin. Coming up on the other side, news for the hearing impaired.